America's toughest prisons, and the near impossible idea of escaping. In the heart of a nation built on law and order, the concept of escaping from an American prison stands as one of the most daring challenges imaginable. The United States is home to some of the most secure, heavily guarded, and technologically advanced prisons in the world, institutions designed not just to hold dangerous individuals, but to ensure that escape is virtually impossible. Yet, history reminds us that even the most formidable walls and tightest security systems cannot completely eliminate human ingenuity, desperation, and the relentless desire for freedom. America's maximum security prisons, like ADX Florence in Colorado, Pelican Bay in California, and the notorious Alcatraz Island in San Francisco Bay, were engineered to break the very spirit of escape. These facilities feature reinforced concrete walls, steel doors, endless surveillance cameras, armed guards, and advanced motion sensors. Every inch of these prisons is built around one central purpose: containment. Inmates are monitored around the clock, confined to tiny cells for up to 23 hours a day, and subjected to strict routines that leave little room for error or rebellion. The psychological pressure inside these facilities is immense. Solitary confinement, strict isolation, and severe punishment for any violation are tools used to crush the hopes of escape before they even form. Guards are trained not just in physical security measures, but in psychological observation, constantly searching for any hint of unusual behavior that might suggest plotting. The system is built to anticipate, suppress, and suffocate any dreams of breaking free. Given these seemingly insurmountable barriers, the idea of a successful prison escape seems almost mythical, something reserved for Hollywood thrillers and dramatic novels. Yet, against all odds, a few determined souls have managed to challenge the system. Their stories are a testament to extraordinary courage, meticulous planning, and an unyielding will to regain their freedom, no matter the cost. What drives a man to dig through concrete walls with spoons, to sew together makeshift rafts, or to impersonate an officer in a daring bid for freedom? It's a question that has fascinated Americans for decades. Each successful escape challenges not just the physical strength of the prison system, but also its psychological foundations. It forces society to confront the age-old truth: where there is a will, there is a way. Still, for every daring escape, there are countless failed attempts that end in tragedy, harsher sentences, or death. The stakes are unimaginably high. A mistake in timing, a misplaced tool, a loose word spoken to the wrong person, any of these can spell disaster. That reality makes successful escapes not just rare, but legendary. In this exploration, we dive into some of the most fascinating, shocking, and ingenious prison escapes in American history. Stories that defied logic, tested human endurance, and captured the imagination of millions. These tales are not just about crime or punishment. They are about the indomitable human spirit facing the impossible, and sometimes, just sometimes, winning. Throughout American history, a few prison escapes have become legendary, not just for their daring nature, but also for the incredible ingenuity and courage displayed by those involved. Among the most iconic are the escapes from Alcatraz in 1962, the breakout of the Texas 7 in 2000, and the Shawshank-style escape by Richard Matt and David Sweat in 2015. These stories reveal the extraordinary risks some prisoners are willing to take in their quest for freedom. Alcatraz, 1962, the famous Anglin brothers and Frank Morris. Alcatraz Federal Penitentiary, often called The Rock, was considered America's most escape-proof prison. Situated on a remote island surrounded by icy, shark-infested waters of San Francisco Bay, it was thought that no one could ever get out, or at least survive the attempt. Yet, in June 1962, Frank Morris and brothers John and Clarence Anglin achieved the impossible. Using makeshift tools, including sharpened spoons and a homemade drill powered by a vacuum cleaner motor, they spent months digging through the walls of their cells, concealed by cardboard and paint. They crafted life vests and a raft from over 50 stolen raincoats. On the night of June 11, 1962, they slipped through a utility corridor, climbed onto the prison roof, and disappeared into the night. The escape was only discovered the next morning when dummy heads, made of plaster and painted to look like the inmates, were found in their beds. Despite an intense manhunt, no trace of the three men was ever conclusively found. To this day, their fate remains one of America's greatest mysteries. Did they drown, or did they make it to Freedom, Texas 2000, the escape of the Texas Seven? On December 13th, 2000, 7 inmates carried out a meticulously planned and shockingly bold escape from the John B. Connolly Unit, a maximum security prison in Texas. Using deception, fake calls, and ambush tactics, they overpowered civilian workers and prison guards. They stole guns, clothing, and a prison maintenance truck, blending in with outgoing personnel. Once outside, the Texas Seven embarked on a crime spree across several states, including a tragic robbery that led to the murder of an Irving police officer. Their escape triggered one of the largest manhunts in American history. After weeks on the run, 6 of the 7 were captured in Colorado, following a tip from a viewer who saw them on the television show America's Most Wanted. One member took his own life to avoid capture. Their story remains infamous, highlighting both the vulnerabilities of prison systems and the deadly consequences of desperate freedom attempts. New York, 2015. Richard Matt and David Sweat's Shawshank-style breakout. In June 2015, Richard Matt and David Sweat, 2 convicted murderers, escaped from Clinton Correctional Facility in Dannemora, New York, in a scheme eerily similar to Stephen King's The Shawshank Redemption. With the assistance of a civilian prison employee, Joyce Mitchell, the 2 inmates obtained tools, including hacksaw blades, smuggled inside frozen meat. They spent months cutting through cell walls and pipes, navigating the labyrinthine tunnels underneath the prison. Their elaborate escape led them through steam pipes and eventually out through a manhole outside the prison walls. The breakout sparked a massive, multi-week manhunt involving hundreds of law enforcement officers. Ultimately, Richard Matt was shot and killed by police, while David Sweat was captured and returned to custody. Their audacious escape exposed serious security flaws and inspired reforms in the New York prison system. Techniques and tactics. How these masterminds beat the system. Escaping from a high-security prison in the United States is not a feat that happens by luck or accident. It requires a rare blend of intelligence, patience, courage, and meticulous planning. The masterminds behind the most legendary escapes used a variety of creative techniques and tactics to beat a system specifically designed to hold the most dangerous individuals indefinitely. Their methods reveal both the weaknesses of the prison systems and the astonishing determination of those willing to risk everything for a taste of freedom. One of the most common tactics used by escapees is deception. Prisoners often rely on trickery to lower the guards' vigilance or to create diversions. In the case of the 1962 Alcatraz escape, Frank Morris and the Anglin brothers crafted incredibly lifelike dummy heads from soap, toothpaste, toilet paper, and real human hair gathered from the prison's barber shop. These heads were placed in their beds to fool night guards into thinking they were asleep. Their deception was so convincing that the guards didn't realize anything was wrong until the next morning, giving the escapees a critical head start. Another vital strategy was improvisation with available materials. Since prisoners had extremely limited access to tools, they had to turn everyday objects into instruments of escape. For example, the Alcatraz trio fashioned digging tools from stolen spoons and constructed a homemade drill from a broken vacuum cleaner motor to loosen the ventilation grates behind their cells. Similarly, Richard Matt and David Sweat in 2015 used hacksaw blades smuggled in frozen meat to cut through steel pipes and walls, slowly and silently, working over months to carve their route to freedom. Patience and long-term planning were essential to every major escape. None of these breakouts happened overnight. They took months, sometimes even years, of careful observation and preparation. Inmates would study guard routines, prison layouts, shift changes, and security flaws. They would patiently wait for the right moment when weaknesses in the system could be exploited, without drawing attention to themselves. Collaboration and manipulation also played significant roles. In the case of the Texas Seven, The group worked together in perfect coordination, using their combined skills to overpower guards, steal weapons, and execute a complex plan involving misdirection and disguise. Likewise, Matt and Sweat manipulated Joyce Mitchell, a civilian prison employee, into assisting them, exploiting emotional vulnerabilities to gain inside access to tools and information that would have otherwise been unattainable. Lastly, knowledge of the environment was crucial. Escaping the prison walls was only half the battle. Surviving outside without immediate capture required understanding geography, weather conditions, and law enforcement procedures. Successful escapees often prepared for life beyond the walls, crafting rafts, stockpiling supplies, or arranging hideouts in advance. The Anglin brothers, for instance, used raincoats to create a makeshift raft strong enough to brave the icy waters surrounding Alcatraz. Ultimately, these techniques demonstrate that a successful prison escape is not a spur-of-the-moment decision, but a masterclass in patience. Why these escapes continue to fascinate the world. There is something deeply captivating about prison escape stories. They grip the imagination, stir emotions, and leave us in awe of the sheer audacity it takes to challenge an institution built to crush any hope of freedom. Even decades later, the daring breakouts from places like Alcatraz, the chaos unleashed by the Texas Seven, and the cinematic escape of Richard Matt and David Sweat continue to capture public fascination. But why do these stories endure in our collective memory? The answer lies in a complex mixture of human nature, cultural storytelling, and the timeless allure of rebellion against impossible odds. At the heart of it, escape stories tap into a universal human desire for freedom. Prisons represent total control, a complete stripping away of autonomy, movement, and identity. Those who attempt to escape, regardless of their crimes, embody the purest expression of the will to be free. In a world where most people feel trapped in routines, obligations, or societal rules, these escapees become symbolic figures, representing the inner dream of breaking away from constraints and reclaiming personal destiny. Moreover, there is an undeniable admiration for cleverness and ingenuity. Regardless of their motives or past actions, escapees often demonstrate extraordinary intelligence, creativity, and patience, qualities society values. Crafting fake heads, building rafts out of raincoats, manipulating weaknesses in tight security systems. These acts reveal a level of resourcefulness and strategic thinking that few possess. Even those who disapprove of their crimes cannot help but marvel at the brilliance behind their plans. Culturally, America has a long tradition of rooting for the underdog, the rebel, and the individual who dares to defy overwhelming odds. From the Wild West outlaws to modern-day heist movies, the narrative of someone taking on a powerful system resonates deeply. Prison escape stories fit neatly into this tradition, offering real-life tales that mirror our favorite fictional dramas. They are stories of risk, cunning, and survival, themes that transcend time and place. Additionally, the mysteries surrounding many escapes add to their lasting intrigue. When escapees vanish without a trace, as with Frank Morris and the Anglin brothers, the lack of closure keeps the story alive indefinitely. Did they survive the cold waters of San Francisco Bay? Did they start new lives under different names? Such unanswered questions fuel speculation, books, documentaries, and even movies, keeping public interest alive generation after generation. Finally, there's an element of fear and caution intertwined with fascination. Successful prison escapes expose flaws in systems that are supposed to be foolproof. They remind society that no system is perfect, and no wall is truly unbreakable. This realization is thrilling, but also unsettling, creating a tension that further deepens public engagement with these stories. In